The next topic for our course is creating clear distinctions. This is a three-part set of lessons. The first one, which you're going to take now, is semantic foundations. This lesson is designed to help you start thinking about words and meanings, to prepare you to go more deeply into the creation of useful distinctions in decision analysis. One of the key concepts presented here is the semiotic triangle, which helps us think more clearly about the nature of language in terms of symbols, the things represented by the symbols, and the mental activity associated with the use of the symbols. We will also explore the difference between the world we live in contrast to an ideal world in which mathematics and logical equations apply without exceptions. An understanding of semantics provides an essential foundation for decision making. When we describe anything, we are essentially modeling it using natural language. When we make mathematical decision models, we are enhancing the models we already made with words by incorporating additional descriptions using the language of mathematics. Therefore, a solid understanding of how we model things with words helps us make better decision models, whether using words, graphs, or additional mathematical constructs to model the decisions. As Seneca wrote, "When the words are clear, the mind will be also." We normally use language automatically without much reflection. In practical applications of decision theory, decision analysts have observed that lack of clarity on some particular word meaning can compromise the value of an analysis. Further, the creation of a new distinction can be pivotal to an analysis, perhaps causing a frame shift, perhaps being instrumental in leading to clarity of action for the decision maker. This lesson will encourage you to think more deeply than most people ever do about language, how it works, and how it breaks down. By understanding how language fails, you will develop a perspective that enables you to use language more effectively to create useful models. First, we will explore a little bit of common sense logic and see how it fails in practice. Rule number 1, a dog is a dog. Most people agree with this without hesitation. If a dog was not a dog, then what would it be? The logical principle here is identity. Think for a moment about whether you would accept this rule. The second rule, everything is either a dog or not a dog. The logical principle behind this is inclusion. Reflect for a moment on whether you would accept the statement that everything is either a dog or not a dog as part of your worldview. The third rule we will consider, nothing is both a dog and not a dog. This is called the law of the excluded middle. Think for a moment whether that makes sense to you, that nothing could be both a dog and not a dog. We'll now explore a fundamental idea from general semantics. The word is not the thing. You may well accept this when you hear it stated, but you may also realize upon reflection that you often behave as if the word is the thing. Suppose two people are talking about what to do for the weekend. Person A says, "Would you like to go to the park today?" B says, "Sure, that sounds great. The park will be beautiful today." A asks, "Do you mind if I bring my dog along?" And A pictures this dog. B says, actually, I'd rather you did not. I honestly don't like dogs very much. B is picturing this dog. A imagines this park. B imagines this park. B imagines this dog. A imagines this dog. So you can see A and B have been using the same words, but they have not actually been communicating very effectively at all. One way to think about this is to use the semiotic triangle. This was developed by Ogden and Richards in a book, The Meaning of Meaning, a study of the influence of language upon thought and of the science of symbolism. So as a referent, we have some actual dog. As a symbol, we have the word dog. And we have thoughts and references that this symbol and this dog may bring to our mind. If we have the symbol without an actual referent, our mind responds by providing examples of what a dog is. Our examples may be different than someone else's. In fact, we would expect them in general to be different. Ultimately, we create maps with words, maps of the world. The map is an analogy. Now, if we recognize that dog A is some set of attributes that we can think about, size, temperament, age, color, and dog B has some vector of different temperaments, as in our dogs. From the prior picture, one was rather large and one was extremely small. The differences go on from there. In fact, these lists could be arbitrarily long. In fact, from a theoretical perspective, any given dog could have an infinite number of attributes. Infinite in the sense that someone else could always come along and add a new attribute that you might never have heard of or thought of. So the dog word is not equal to either dog that we think about or any actual dog. Similarly, the word park is not equal to what we imagine when we hear the word or any actual park. Now, these facts are obvious when expressed in the language of mathematics, and yet communications often fail due to our common sense assumption: a dog is a dog. Now we'll consider the law of the excluded middle. Nothing is both a dog and not a dog, right? Well, here is Fido. Fido is half wolf and half German Shepherd, an actual dog. Is Fido a dog or not a dog? Fido might be a wolf, or is Fido not a wolf? It's half wolf. Is Fido a dog? Well, it's a half dog, but it's also a half wolf. So is Fido not a dog? It depends on where you are and when. A dog is a domesticated animal. A wolf is a wild animal. A dog is not equal to wolf. So is Fido a dog or not a dog? Well, it may well be. In a Western state, with different laws, more space, lots of people living on ranches, an animal, a canine, that was half wolf and half German Shepherd could be considered a dog. Whereas in an eastern state, for example, or a Midwestern state such as Indiana, it may well be that a dog can't have more than 25% wolf rather than 50% and still be considered a dog. Why do we care? To anticipate where we're going in future lessons, the distinction, to be clear and to be useful, must be based on some purpose. For example, In a given state, the law might say that a dog, if you have a dog, your dog is allowed to defend you. The dog may well be allowed to defend itself and may be allowed to defend your property, whereas a wolf, as a wild animal, may not have such rights. Hence, if someone were to trespass upon your land and be bitten by your dog, you might be able to argue that it's not the dog's fault, it's the trespasser's fault. Whereas, if someone wandered onto your land and was injured by your wolf, that wolf may have absolute liability, and you may have absolute liability for that wolf every bit as much as if you'd left unattended bear traps or a loaded gun lying around. So knowing the purpose allows you to make a clear distinction. In one state, the law might make that distinction for you, that it can be considered a dog and called a dog and treated as a dog under the law, provided it has no more than a certain percentage of wild animal in its bloodline. Such two-valued logic can destroy effective communication. For example, someone might ask, "Are you a patriot or a traitor?" As if there's nothing in between. Are you for us or against us? Is your philosophy Eastern or Western? The problem of the excluded middle persists even if we use more categories. For example, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist. You might be Chinese and Christian. Are you Eastern or Western? You might be an American who's embraced Buddhist philosophy and still goes to a Christian church. The fact is, much of our actual experience in the world lies in the excluded middle of our habitual language. Hence, Korzybski's first postulate, a dog is not a dog. And Bergner's corollary, a dog is not a horse. Considering the purpose and function of a distinction can help us achieve both clarity and usefulness. This is the topic we'll turn to next. This exercise calls for you to reflect on logic and reality. First, think of an example of identification, such as a dog is a dog, that has been at the root of a communication breakdown you have been involved in. Second, think of an example where you have seen others apply two-valued logic, or you applied it yourself. What was the excluded middle that the two-valued logic ignored, and how could this create a problem? Think of an example of a distinction that has more than two values, but still can cause a problem due to the excluded middle that doesn't fall neatly into one of the categories. If necessary, refer back to slide 10 for examples. Discuss this with another student and be prepared to discuss this topic with your teacher.